Hello guys, so today we will study about a topic called nationalism in India from class 10th NCRTs. So what do you mean by nationalism? This is the first question anyone can ask you. So in general terms, if you say what is nationalism? So nationalism is nothing but it is a feeling. It is a feeling of a combined nation. It is a feeling of a integration, right? So we as an Indian, we feel that India is a nation. We are Indians, right? So this is the feeling of a nationalism. Like we relate with a geography. Okay, set geography where we have a representative form of government, we have a well-defined territories, etc. So we have a well-defined culture, we have a well-defined language. So that is includes in nationalism, right? So, but one thing is one thing clear that there can be many languages and many cultures as well in a single nation, just like in India. So question is in this chapter is like how in India nationalism feeling of nationalism grew. What was the cause? So in India and in other nation which was under colonial rule, everything grows because of anti-colonial movement, because we shared a bond that is called being oppressed under colonial government, right? Because each and every one of us was oppressed under similar circumstances. So we shared a bond that tied different groups together. Suppose we in India we had a four kind of society. Society was divided into four parts, right? Kshatriya, Shudra, Vaishya, and traders, and Brahmins, right? Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, and Shudra. So these were the four communities. So in that system, in earlier system, everyone was not oppressed, but in British system in colonial period, each and every one of us was suppressed under the similar things. But India was also divided in different these kingdoms. But Britishers, because of operation of Britishers, these things got united, because these small portions got united, because actually the mode of traveling was invented, like train, etc., was developed in by Britishers. And the second point is this communication, telegraph system initiated, and a newspaper system initiated. Portuguese bring to India the printing press, modern printing press. So this is how the news of one region got spread to other regions, right? So this is how our journey for nationalism begins, right? So in this chapter we will study particularly about 1920s onwards, like this Khilafat, this NCM, and this Gandhiji's contribution into it, and what are the conditions when First World War it finished off. So what were the reasons? Everything we will study in this chapter. So let's start this chapter, right? See, the heading itself says First World War, Khilafat, and NCM. First World War, Khilafat, and NCM, right? So when was First World War happened? It happened between 1914 to 1918, right? And 1919, Treaty of Versailles. You have already studied these things in class 9, right? So because of this First World War, there were economic miseries. Also there were forced recruitment in the period of World War. There was forced recruitment by colonial government from rural villages. See, I have written it. They have written it here. I am marking these things. See, so this also caused anger, because in earlier era, the people used to think that if you go seven seas apart, that means if you cross the sea, then your religion will get diluted, right? So this was the thing. So that also caused anger in masses. Second is forced recruitment. Suppose you don't want to go and I'm forcing you to do something, so that will cause anger, right? So these things created anger. Also there was economic problems. See, because if you wage a war, then it is sad that the nation get 50 years backward, because everything you spend on war, you purchase weapons, there are lots of casualties, heavy taxes are imposed on public. So public pocket money, public money is waded away. If that is also not sufficient, then you have to take the loans, so that you have to pay interest also. So these things, see, they have written it here. See, war loans and increasing taxes. So custom duties were raised, income tax were introduced. So these things happened between 1914 to 1918, right? So this causes, naturally, this causes anger in the masses. And moreover, just like coronavirus we had recently, there were influenza epidemic, right? So there were no vaccine. Remember, we were, early 1920s, 1920s. So there were no vaccines at that time, and they're acute short of footage because 2 years continuously, there were crop failure. So there were no systems like we have in today's world. So we had a food shortages. So that was like famine. So because of famine and because of epidemic, 21 in 1921 census, it was shown that 12 to 13 million people, perished. They just finished off. So 1 million is 10 lakh people, right? So you can imagine how big the number is, right? Now we will discuss the idea of Satyagraha, how it emerged, who got this idea. Actually, Satyagraha was before also, but Mahatma Gandhi used this trick very well, because he used this same technique in South Africa, where he waged a war and anti-racist policies, right? But the idea was to fight with non-violence. Non-violence was the tool. So generally people see non-violence as a weapon of weak, but Mahatma Gandhi realized that this is the weapon of strongest, right? So Mahatma Gandhi came to India in January 1915. The date is 9 January 1915. The same day we celebrate every year Bharatiya Pravasi Divas, or NRI Day, right? Because this day Mahatma Gandhi came from South Africa to India. So that is why this day is celebrated as Bharatiya Pravasi Divas or NRI Day, Non-Resident Indian Day, right? So let's move ahead. Wait a minute. Yeah, sure. Now, so what do you mean by Satyagraha? Satya means truth. So Satyagraha का मतलब क्या होता है? What do you mean by Satyagraha? It is the power of truth. It is the search for truth. So Mahatma Gandhi says that you have to find the truth. If the cause is true, if your cause is true, that means if your reason is correct, then you don't need to, fear with anyone. You have to struggle against injustice, but not with physical strength, but with moral strength. Okay. So the same thing they have written recently. Like, see, I'm underlining the things. The physical force was not necessary to fight the oppressor. It's okay. If you don't have muscles, there's no need for it. You can still fight injustice, right? So what you have to do is you have to approach the conscience. You have to approach the soul of oppressor. That means one who is oppressing you, you have to approach the soul. You have to ask them simple questions. Why are you doing this? Is it right? It's like this kind of questions Mahatma Gandhi used to ask, like the oppressor. So you have to approach their soul, because soul is good. Okay. So to see the truth instead of being forced to accept truth through the use of violence. So you don't have to use violence, Mahatma Gandhi ji. You also, this source is there, right? I am marking it here. Sorry, the source is here. Here also you can read Mahatma Gandhi ji has said that passive resistance is one thing where it is generally considered as a weapons of weak. Okay, but Mahatma Gandhi said that passive resistance is not a weapon of weak, and the name itself is wrong. It should be named as active resistance. See, okay, Satyagraha is not a physical force. A Satyagrahi does not inflict pain on adversaries. The one who is oppressing, you don't have to hurt him. Okay, you just have to obstruct the things. You don't have to go for destruction, right? Like people nowadays, they just anything happens, they just go for destruction. They fire this trains, etc. So this is not the thing which Mahatma Gandhi taught us. He taught us a form of active resistance. Like you have to block the things. You have to go for strikes. You have to show the real knowledge. Like you have to search for the truth. This is the thing Mahatma Gandhi said. So there should not be ill will, right? This is the thing. Satyagraha is a pure soul force. So it is a pure soul force. Truth is very substance of the soul. So you have to fight for the truth, not for the false thing, right? So this is what Mahatma Gandhi said about Satyagraha. So you can read these things. This is very good. You can quote these things in answers also, right? See, in India, he also said that Indians can never carry arms. India should not carry arms. You should make non-violence as a religion. See, this is he's not the first person to teach about non-violence, but in that era, where everyone was disillusioned, everyone with this extremist form of things, or maybe the earlier one, but he shows the real new way, new approach. Idea was similar, but approach was new, because that is why we remember Mahatma Gandhi's, and we have given him the father of Indian nation, right? After arriving in India, Mahatma Gandhi successfully organized Satyagraha movement in various places. So when he came to India, he actually visited for 1 year. He visited whole India, right? He saw the conditions of people, right? And after that, he did 3 satyagrahas, right, as a test bed of India. And after that, he applied the same policy in NCM and Khilafat movement. That will we are going to see in this chapter, right? In 1917, he traveled to Champaran. Champaran is in district in Bihar, where indigo farmers were protesting. So he organized this thing very successfully, as it is clearly written here. Then after that, first when he went to Champaran, then he went to Kheda district of Gujarat. ठीक है, 1917. और उसके बाद what happened there was, because of crop failure and plague epidemic, the peasants of Kheda were not able to pay the revenue. So this is the thing which they were demanding, but the government was not ready to accept this. So Mahatma Gandhi went and he successfully organized the things over there. And after that, he went to Ahmedabad, where cotton mill workers were organizing a protest against the management, because they there was some dispute between these two parties. So he actually successfully demonstrated the value of satyagraha, etc., or in these three forms of struggles, right? So here he actually came with the idea how he can go for next phase of movement. So after 1980,